Welcome back to this edition of Joe on the Job Site, where we continue the discussion with our guest, Alyssa Lane. So, Alyssa, you've mentioned earlier before we took a break.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, welcome back.
Thank you.
Thanks for waiting.
Thanks for having me.
You were involved in like NAWIC, ABC, NICE, NFL.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you utilize NAWIC?
Yeah, absolutely. So
And I got one particular question because it's about National Association and Women. Before you get done with it, what would you say to a young woman that wants to come into this field, and how could you help her?
Okay, yeah, that's great. So NAWIC was an organization that my dad had wanted to be a part of for years. And when I got back with the company and my dad could tell I was serious and this is what I was going to do as a career, he told me, "You're going to join NAWIC." I said, "Okay, sure."
No discussion,
I,
just
I don't know what that means, but sounds like a plan. And as I dug into it, National Association of Women in Construction. There's so many different chapters all over the US. I'm blessed to be part of the Greater Orlando Chapter 73. And after my first meeting with them, I knew I had found an extension of my family. I don't call them NAWIC people, they're my NAWIC sisters. This organization it's involved with all different types of backgrounds, religious beliefs, trades, women that work in the office, ownership. You get so many different people in this group, and it's great because it's a support system. You have other people that are in the same situation. I'm going to be honest with you, working with men all day is a tough job.
you
So,
think we're bad temperaments, right?
sometimes, yeah, maybe, but I'll take the heat too, because sometimes us women can be the same way. But it's just a good place for us to kind of relax and get to know each other on a more personal level, get to talk about our experiences that we have, and then the educational aspects that they offer. They offer training courses through NAWIC and their NEF community, so we can get certifications and help better ourselves for not only us and our educational purposes, but also for our careers. And we do, talks where we bring in GCs versus subs for panels, or, a life coach that, helps us build skills that we can take to the workforce, but also use personally. So it's a great group that I have been a part of. And if there's a young woman that's looking to get into construction, by every means, I would say that is the place I would start from the bat.
They
Because
can pick up the phone, call,
they can pick
email.
up, they can email, they can come join a meeting. NAWIC is very involved in younger girls in the high school age range too. We do a week-long thing over summer where it's a camp. They come in, they have a specific building project. They learn about the different trades that are out there. They learn how to do resumes, things of that nature to get them really involved so they can see there's other aspects. You can be a tradeswoman and work in the field, or if you want to still be in construction and not maybe be in the field, you can learn from an estimator. You can learn to see what does an admin do. There's so many different roles that women can be a part of, and I think it's a great organization to be a part of. And construction's always going to be here.
Right.
We're always going to be building something new or remodeling something. It's kind of like healthcare. It's one of those industries that's never going to go away. So if there's young women that are like, I want something stable and I want something that can challenge me, there's so many different avenues within the construction industry.
Yeah.
It's the best place. And that's what's great is they don't get stuck at one spot. They might start as an admin and decide, hey, I really like this. I want to be an estimator. And there's room for growth in the estimating field. Or I want to become a project manager or a superintendent, or I'm really good with my hands. Like, let's be in the trades. So there's so many different places for them to be able to explore and go and do.
And a few key elements they need to bring with them. The dream to
Want to be there and work
and put forth the
and
effort
put
to
forth
learn.
their effort. Yeah. If you have that,
Or you got to show up on time too.
well, I would say early, because in my book, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late.
I agree with that.
I get my guys with that all the time. But, as long as you show up and have the want to learn, There are so many people that have the ability to share the skills that they have learned over the years, and
Exactly.
that's what NAWIC is about. We're here to promote women in construction and helping them flourish and grow, and it's just such an amazing organization to be a part of and to watch people that come in and might be shy or don't know anybody. It's not that fear of, "Oh, am I gonna fit in?" You're gonna fit in if you wanna be there because there's somebody there that is shy, or there's somebody there that's outgoing, or that's a project manager or an engineer that we can link up with, and you just hit it
You-
off and click and go from there.
Excuse me. So if I was a young woman is on a project and she's feeling frustrated and she didn't feel like she could talk to anyone there, would she be able to pick up the phone and talk to someone with NAWIC?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm the membership chair. So for our organization here in Orlando, I have the ability to share information that other members have said, hey, yeah, if someone calls, give them my number. Or if she's like, hey, I need to talk to somebody, I'm always available. But if they don't want to talk to me necessarily or something I can't help them with, we have the tools to be able to say, hey, here's somebody we can connect you with that's been through the same situation or experienced something like what you're dealing with.
And you know the when a person gets to that level, having someone to talk to, answer, help them, guide them, something that's maybe they don't feel like they can do it where they're working at and they want to talk to outside. That will make the difference of them in staying in the trade or in their
Absolutely.
work area because they have someone to help. A lot of young folks, they get frustrated and they don't feel like they have someone they can talk to or they're not learning what they want to learn. The people don't feel like they care. They get frustrated, and that's when you start losing the help. And having that ability to pick up the phone. My young superintendents, I tell them, call me anytime you got a question. And I have some that work for other companies now. Now they've seasoned out, so the phone calls have slowed down, but they did call and ask the questions.
Right.
And you talk them through it, answer the questions, and help them. That helps them want to stay and not just, oh, I'm going over here.
Right. Well, knowledge is power, and being able to share the knowledge that each one of us have learned, it's our duty and responsibility to help the younger ones that are coming up learn. We all started somewhere, and I was that girl, I was
I
that
was.
young girl that didn't know. And had I not had the people I was able to lean up against to learn and grow and be who I am today, I wouldn't be here, and I wanna be able to pass that down to someone who's in the same situation.
And if we don't do that, we don't feed the what's coming up behind us. We don't help them grow to take our places.
Right.
And one of the best compliments is see someone that you've mentored or talked to or coached rise above you in the positions and and you feel good like, wow, she made it.
Yeah,
They made it. He made it, whichever way. Um, you're also a member of ABC,
I am.
and ABC is a great organization, the Central Florida chapter. Tell us how you interact and what you can do for your teams with ABC.
So ABC is gosh, it's just a wealth of knowledge is what I call ABC. Anything you need, ABC's got for you. If you're looking for a CPR, first aid, Narcan training, they've got it. All of my crew, it's my responsibility as a boss to make sure that my team is as safe as they can be, and safety for me in training is one of the most important things. All of my guys are CPR, first aid, bloodborne pathogens, OSHA 10, you name it.
Yeah.
They hate me for it, but they love me for it at the same time because it's important that my guys leave the same way they came to work, just with more money in their pocket than they came with.
They have a family, they come and go.
Yeah, they need to come and they need to take care of them and they need to be able to provide. So the safety training courses that ABC offers is amazing. They have an estimating program for project managers that comes around, and that's an amazing course that I'm able to offer to my PMs that would like to take up on that. Or it's just getting out of the office and putting a face to the name that's behind an email. Sometimes creating that relationship just sparks it in people. It can get a little boring, being an estimator, working behind a computer, sending emails. And Oh, I've talked to so and so for 3 years. Well, guess what? We might be able to go to a meet the general contractor that ABC is putting together. That GC may be able to be there. And then you've formed a relationship that's not just over email. So the phone calls are easier or the emails are easier and you build that relationship.
So, and over time, in the time you've been with the companies, starting young, and you watched your father work, the relationship building, I've seen the change. When I was younger, I worked for a house builder, and we would get done building the house, and we'd go sit at a local restaurant, and those two would sit and talk and flash back and forth totals and stuff. Come back, okay, this is a check, and write it. And I'm sitting there eating breakfast, but I'm listening.
Right.
But the point of it is the relationships. They used to be, there was a term called cold calling to solicit work, and then it was the actual visit to the person or the company, and then it faded away, and it now became computers and digital sales and all of the other aspects. The one thing, though, that I think that's remained solid is one-on-one communication, and you've been with the company now for since you were 6.
Basically in and out.
Basically, since you were 6. I don't know, was there laws against that back then?
I mean, there might have been, but we were safe, so that's all that mattered.
So, but communication has changed. Do you see where there's a difference in one-on-one compared to digital, compared to electronic solicitations or messaging?
Yes, and everybody who knows me is gonna laugh at this because I am of the old school mindset. I like pen and paper, I like business cards, I like in-person meetings face to face. It is easier to use technology, and I understand the need for it, but there's nothing past getting through solid communication. If you're communicating via email, sometimes we can read an email one way, and it's not meant to be that
Very, very
way,
true.
and it's a lot easier to have strong communication sitting here like we are today, face to face, in person. And I think that helps build relationships. And I think that's what builds long lasting relationships is when you're willing to do that and put
And,
in that effort.
and ABC, I think, helps put people together for that,
Absolutely.
so
What
that we can have our face to face and one on one in our conversation like we're having today. When you walk away and hey, I need help. I know somebody that's been around through that, and you do that in the meetings at ABC, the training sessions and all the mentoring programs that they have.
right.
It's a great cause.
I mean, you get every bit of what you put into ABC. I believe in that strongly, and no matter what you're looking for in an organization, I feel like ABC is so well rounded that they have a program or they have an event that will cater to any needs that you need to help succeed and push forward. You
Yes.
know, everything from a chili cook off that's just good old fun fashion,
Annual
like
chili cook-off.
annual chili cook-off we're here to do, or whether it's giving back the young professionals that do some of their volunteering work, or, a fun night at casino night. Yes, those are all fun times. Yes, it's great to build relationships, but we're still networking and getting work done while we're having
Getting
fun.
to know people, maybe not on a business level, but a personal level.
And
That look,
I'm big on that.
yep.
People are important, and the more you can be involved and understand what makes people tick, if you will, what's important to them. I'm not here just to be your insulator. I'm here because I want to be here. I want to know about you. I want to know what your business is doing, how you're growing, and that's what ABC allows us to do.
Yep. The one thing I've learned since talking to you about Southern Foam, family.
Yes.
So you mentioned NICE,
Yes.
and there was a subpart of that called NFL. Could you fill us in on that?
So, NICE is an organization that I'm in. It's a National Insulation Contractors Exchange, and they have a program within that called NFL. It's NICE Future Leaders. It's a great organization. So, we meet at least once a year. All of us come from all over the United States, and It's a group of insulation generational people that are stepping up into the business. So, we all have some of the same struggles. Some of us work with family, such as I. Some of us are just stepping up into a leadership position, transitioning from an older generation to a new generation, how we bridge the technological gaps, if you will.
Yeah.
I tell my dad all the time, he's like a dinosaur sometimes when he hands me the phone and says, make this thing work. And I do, and I make it work, and I try to teach him, and he's like, "I have no interest in learning," which is fine. But, it's a group that brings us all together, where we can share some of our struggles and share some of our highs and help each other out and really get down to the nitty-gritty of what we need to be doing to be successful leaders within the construction industry.
That's a great group.
Yes.
And you mentioned a minute ago about working with family. I got to hear this story. So you call this 3.5 generation
Yes.
in the company. Who's the other?
Well, we have my sister too. So when I tell you we are a family owned and operated business, that we are exactly that. My dad, my mom, my sister, and I. All of us are in the family. All of us are working in the business, and it's 24/7 for us. There's not a family dinner on a Sunday night that we don't talk about work. Or there's not a Friday afternoon, for instance, that we know we're all gonna get together on Sunday asking, "Hey, what's for dinner?" We sleep, breathe, eat, everything is not only construction, but insulation, but our people. Everyone who works for us is truly just an extension of our family. And I know a lot of people say that, and it's happy and it's nice to hear, but they truly are. If they're ever in a situation that they need something, they know they can come to us. They don't have family in town and it's Thanksgiving. Well, guess what? They come to our house. I mean, they are truly just an extension of our family. So, yeah, we may be the ones that run the business, but everybody there is part of our family.
Now, what does your sister do for the company?
My sister, oh, I tell everybody, she's just a bulldog in the accounting world, man. And I'm so happy she is. She just joined back with us, I'd say almost about 5 years ago now. Life brought her back into the family business, kind of like it did for me. And she loves her numbers. She loves to be behind spreadsheets. She loves her numbers. She loves finding missing pieces of the puzzle, doing payroll. And she is so, so good at it that it's almost like a sigh of relief for me because she's that's her strong suit, and it's definitely not one of mine. It's not something I'm passionate about. I can do it, but it's not my passion. So it's blending the best of both worlds, having her back in the team with us.
So there's a day in December called Boxing Day. Would you two switch places? How would it turn out?
Oh, she would probably scream at me the next day when she got back to her office and saw what I did in there. Um, no, I don't know that we would ever wanna switch places. There are certain people that have talents that you just cannot match, and I know my place, and it's definitely not in
Not
that
in
office.
accounting.
She doesn't want me in there, and I don't necessarily wanna be in there, and, she's the yin to my yang, and that's what's going to get us past generation 3 into 4, 5, and 6 is us working together and creating that relationship and working on our strong suits and pushing forward.
So it sounds like that you and your sister both complement each other. One where you're working in the field more and estimating, and her in accounting and that area. It sounds like you two make a great complement to the company that way.
We really do, and had we had this conversation 30 years ago, I don't know that we would be having the same conversation because, we were like oil and water back in the day, but as we've grown up and life has happened, it's really brought us together on a personal level. Everybody matures and everything like that, but there's not a day I wouldn't do anything for her, and I know the same goes for her for me, and whether that be personal or in business, and I think that's what truly makes the team.
What's it like working in your opinion, what's it like working for a family company? And because you've made it very clear, the people in the field are family, and the people in the office, the family.
Yeah.
What's it like working for a family company? And when I guess we're going with that is, if you were to say some of my most memorable times of working with a family company, what comes to mind?
I'm not going to say every day is a field of roses because it definitely isn't. It's hard sometimes when everybody is so passionate and family stuff gets brought to work or work stuff gets brought home. Sometimes those lines get a little muddy, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. This is a business I'm so proud to be a part of and be running forward. It's a legacy for me and my sister. It's not about us. It's about our grandfather. It's about our dad. It's about our mom. It's about our future children and how it moves forward. And that's, I think, what kind of keeps us pushing and going. And, getting to do that with the ones that we truly love, I think is the biggest gift that I could ever ask for.
So I've talked about this with my family, and I have 2 daughters, and once in a while they get at each other a little bit. And I always tell them, however, whatever happens is done or said, learn to let it go, because in the end, it's family, and you can't change the family. You grow with them and learn with them.
That's correct.
So, speaking of that, in the next few years, as you're moving into your time with Southern Foam, where do you hope to see the company?
That's a great question because we like to dream big over there at Southern Foam.
I remember when it started. I've used Southern Foam on projects, and I remember when it was a lot smaller than it is now.
Yeah, a lot of that is definitely to my dad. He is definitely a dreamer, and it's great to be a dreamer, but you also have to be able to be a doer. And that's one thing that I think my sister and I have learned a lot from him is how we need to dream big, but also how we can successfully implement that. And we want to be able to help reach everybody where they need us. We work all over the state of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see if maybe about potentially opening up a second office and being able to service people more readily and easily available down in like South Florida or something of that nature. But I would like to add more estimators to our team to help kind of spread the load and help my senior PM be out in the field a little bit more where he really wants to be and where he thrives at being. We're really working on building a successful team and starting where we are. You've got to learn to crawl before you're out running a marathon. And right now we're working on that succession plan. And I would like for my dad to maybe be able to take my mom on vacations a little bit more and not have to stress so much about what's going on at the office. We promise we won't burn the place down, but it's important to me that they feel comfortable that my sister and I have got this so that way they can go and enjoy because they've worked so hard to get us where we are. And my sister and I are here to kind of step up and step into that role now and let them have a little bit of fun and enjoy.
Well, Southern Foam seems, with our discussion here, is going to be in some great hands coming up in the future for growth.
Thank
I
you.
like the idea of expanding. It's probably a little tough on some of your teams to work in South Florida and be home in Orlando.
Correct.
That's a drive and a half, but expanding the office down there where it's a shorter commute for the group and the local guys. The idea of putting on more estimators. I have seen an uptick in the construction that's available in the area, and I could see where the estimators are probably getting a little bit covered up with the amount of work that they have to do and the deadlines to meet. It's probably some long hours for them.
Yeah.
So if you were to look out into the future for you and your family and look back on the things you've learned and you see a young person, what would you say to that person to encourage them in the field or just absolutely let them know it's okay to change. It's okay to be yourself. You mentioned earlier about some of the people that are quiet and don't talk, and there's always a reason or for a lot of the personalities, but let them know it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to understand and think this way. We're here and this is a team and you can make it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I always tell myself is just do it and do it scared. Sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. We are our own worst critics. We can talk ourselves out of anything easier than we can talk ourselves into something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can say, oh my God, that's a beautiful pair of shoes. And then I can look at the price tag and say, oh, well, that's not very pretty. I don't need those, but those would look good. And I want those shoes. You know, just do it and do it scared. If you need help, ask for it. People don't know what you need if you don't ask for it. And that's one of the biggest things I think, being a part of all of these organizations has taught me is you have to be able to say, hey, I need help, or hey, I don't understand this. Because it's like I tell everybody that joins my team, we aren't popped out of the womb knowing insulation. I wasn't, my dad wasn't, my sister wasn't, like we all start somewhere. And that's what you have to do is give yourself credit for, hey, I am here. I'm going to start here and then run with that and learn everything that you can. Knowledge is power. And that's one thing no one can take away from you is what you know. So the more you know and the more you invest in yourself, work kind of just comes natural at that point. Once you've invested in you and put in the time, your work is going to see that and they're going to be like, hey, what do you want to do? How can we
Yep.
invest back into you? Oh, you want to take that class? We know you're going to take it seriously. Let's go ahead and let's do it. So just do it and do it scared and don't be afraid to ask the questions. That's the biggest thing.
A lot of folks I've talked to, as I've learned over the years, they don't ask questions
Right.
because they're afraid that it doesn't look good for them. But when you have someone who asks the questions, I don't know, could you show me? How is this done? I don't understand. You've told me 4 times and I still don't understand. Well, maybe you better try a different approach. But the overall point is it isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. And you can see leadership coming from those people where they ask and can pass it on what they've learned by asking the question. I
Yeah.
just don't know. It's not a bad thing.
That's correct. I mean, I would rather you ask me the question and we go over it versus just saying, oh, well, let's shoot from the hip and hope this works.
Yeah, and you wind out going, well, why didn't you ask the question? Because we could have solved this and it wouldn't have turned out nothing like this. Now we got a mess to fix.
That's correct. I mean, I have an open door policy at my office. I mean, sometimes my door is closed because I'm jamming out to music, but it's still an open door policy. And everyone who works for me truly understands that if there's a question or if there's a problem or they need something, I'm always there to help and there's no judgment. I'd
Exactly.
much rather you come to me and say, hey, I don't understand this. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, you should know that. No, let's go over it. Let's go over it together and figure out how we can make it make sense. I'd
Hmm.
much rather have that conversation and be able to teach it to you because then once you know, you'll be able to go back and help somebody else and teach it to
Yep.
somebody else.
Last question. With today's economy, how are you finding employees?
You know, we are very blessed in the workforce that we have. A lot of our employees are long term employees. I think part of that is just because of the family aspect that we have, but it's important to make sure that you take care of those that are taking care of you. We've always stood behind that and tried, we're a small family owned and operated business, but we try to have some of those same benefits that a larger company may have. We
Hmm.
started a 401k program. We have PTO, things of that nature. It's just important to give back into those that give into you. And I think that's how we get new people into the office, but it's also how we keep our people that are there.
That's great. Well, I appreciate you coming today.
Thank you so much
It's
for
been
having me.
wonderful. And thank you. So I look forward to seeing you on a project in the future
Absolutely.
and seeing the company grow.
Yes, absolutely.
So this is Joe on the job site, and this completes our edition. Thank you.
Thank you.